hate how it does that. So annoying.
Recording in progress.
Yeah, I'm gonna aim for that now.
Yeah.
I'm here for Championship Sunday. That's hype. I'm gonna watch some games that I bet on.
I've
Though.
Knowing Surge, he's probably not gonna be able to figure out how to actually play the video. Welcome back, everybody. Episode God, every time. Welcome back, everybody. Back Pocket episode 25, and I got it right first time on this one. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Championship Sunday. Very excited for it all. If you are new to the channel, subscribe. As I said, we are going to be talking about the AFC NFC Championship, giving our picks, predictions, and analysis for both of the games. And then after that, it is Super Bowl predictions. And then after that, we are done for this season and it's on to draft. So we are very excited for the things to come. Before we get into our predictions, Kean McDermott, Surge, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Excited to talk some ball.
Cold in your dorm, huh?
Nah, just the fit.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Dylan
yeah.
Schaum, Dylan, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to talk ball. That's my saying, by the way. You
Yeah.
can't steal that from me.
Well,
And,
too bad.
Charlie Nidell. Charlie, how are you?
The 0-4 in divisional predictions, Charlie Nidell.
Look, I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk ball and yeah.
Thieves, all of you.
Gentlemen, game number 1, 2 p.m. AFC Championship. Obviously, the Chiefs led Mahomes, Lamar, MVP led Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, the Chiefs get not a controversial win this time, just a heartbreaker for Buffalo in Buffalo, but they continue the era of owning the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. They continue their dominance in the AFC. Dylan, don't smile. Your team's quarterback is horrible, and you lost to the Bills, so I don't want to see a single smile out of you.
When
But
do I
obviously,
not
this
smile?
game,
When do I
this
not
game,
smile?
this is a very interesting game. Obviously, Dylan in Baltimore right now. I know that has nothing to do with it because they're not going to the game, but thought we would say it. Obviously, very good game. I think in Baltimore, obviously, again, big storyline going into it. It is not in Kansas City, which it has been for a majority of these past few years. But again, I still stand by it. I think, Dylan, you do. A Chiefs team that is not as strong as they were. They beat a Bills team, but squeaked by due to a missed field goal. But I think it's a very good game. Again, we saw a Ravens team that I wouldn't say struggled against the Texans, but the Texans were there throughout the game. They kept it close. I think the first half it was
No,
like
look, it was just the first
7-3.
half. I mean, really, I
Mhm.
think it was 10-10 at
Like
halftime,
10-10, yeah.
but the
Mhm.
Ravens had a slow start coming out the gates, and I think we thought that some of that was going
Yeah.
to happen. I think it was you, Serge, maybe who said
No, it
that
was
And
Dylan. It was
coming off
Dylan.
of the
Yeah.
bye
It was Dylan.
week, it's just
Maybe
It was
no, it was
both.
Surge.
you know,
It was
It was
Yeah.
Surge.
shared
Surge.
sentiment, though. We kind
whatever.
And
But coming
the
off the
Raven-
bye week, they might have a slow
Mhm.
start. But then in the second half, what was it, 35-0 or 25-0?
Yeah, maybe you're
And it
right.
was
Yeah.
24-0.
24-0.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't.
I
I don't
know it's
think it was a very
24
close
nothing,
game.
but I felt like the Texans were there throughout. Again, they weren't able to score, but I wouldn't say there was,
Mhm.
especially offensively, Stroud. I think again, pressure got to him, but I don't think Stroud or that offense necessarily had a good game. I think they were just tired out and they just didn't have
Mhm.
the weapons there. But again, very good game in Baltimore. Again, the Baltimore I would assume are the favorites heading into this one, but I think at least if you look at analysts, I think if I were to predict, I think more people will pick Kansas City. And obviously, we get into our predictions after we do our analysis. But just off the rip, I feel like people will be picking Kansas City to win this game. However, again, we looked at Baltimore. They did everything they said they would. Linebacking core is fantastic. Lamar was flawless. Lamar started off slow, but again, not many mistakes and really turned it up at the end. Defensively, very good. Obviously, CJ Stroud, and again, a guy who we will talk more about in future episodes, but a guy who had a fantastic season. Wasn't really rattled, but just didn't have the options. So again, not a guy who was going out and throwing 3 interceptions against that defense, but very good defensively. I will give credit to Surge. Secondary wise, they were able to figure out the Texans' offense in the second half. I think the first half they were opened up a little bit by Stroud, but I think me and Charlie knew that would happen. And again, going to this game, you have a better quarterback in Mahomes. I would say, I guess, receiving core wise, it's not much different. You have I guess, whatever. It's, guys, it's
Mhm.
Chiefs, Texans, not a lot of options there, but Pacheco was very good. I will move it on to you guys. What do you think about when you look at this game?
Well, I
Yeah.
think, just like straight up, I think actually, Keen, we were totally wrong about this one. I
I
think
think we
CJ
were
Stroud was
wrong.
not able to open up this defense whatsoever.
The first
CJ
half he
Stroud,
was.
the Texans didn't have an offensive touchdown.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but in
Their
in the
only touchdown was from
Nope,
my
we just
worst
name
enemy,
redacted. Name
Steven
redacted. Nope, nope,
Sims.
nope, nope. He didn't
Look,
score.
this
I
It
was
wasn't
I
him.
think at least in the first quarter, it was the Texans offense where I was like, okay, I can see them
Look, it
putting
was
it up.
10-10, but that was because of a kick return touchdown and because Baltimore's offense wasn't playing great. But then Baltimore's offense started to click in the second half, and I think we're really understating what Baltimore was able to do against Houston this weekend because they looked fantastic in that second half. Their defense looked great all game, and I think that I actually am also going to disagree with you in the saying that most people will be picking the Chiefs here because I think that over the last 5 or so years, the narrative has become the Chiefs just always win. So people just always pick the Chiefs. But then the second that the Chiefs started to struggle this season, everyone was picking against the Chiefs because you want them to lose because they always win. I sit in class and someone asks who you want to win the Super Bowl, and everyone says just anyone but the Chiefs. And the second you sense weakness in a team, you pick against them. You pick the Ravens. You pick people picking the Bills. I was one of them. People picking the Dolphins to be the Chiefs. This is just you want the Chiefs to lose, so I think actually the majority of votes will be for the Ravens, but this is going to be a really good game. So it's hard to pick between the two teams because again, the Chiefs just always seem to win.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very interesting game because I think matchup wise, Baltimore should be the easy favorites because they've been the better team all season long. They have that, obviously, I think now clear as day, the best defense in the NFL,
Yeah.
who once
Just
again
because they beat
were
the
able to
Texans, I
absolutely,
wouldn't say that's
well,
necessarily
no,
why, but
but all
But
year,
it's been
no,
clear.
but it's been all year. But then their main competitor, the Browns, like got torched by Stroud, and then Baltimore again were able to consistently dial up pressure with those interior guys like Matabike, Pierce, even Travis Jones, they were all huge and kind of really gashing that Texans offensive line. And again, going against a Kansas City team that I think are actually, despite the fact that they don't have good tackles, would probably be better suited to play against them because their interior is so good with Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. But one huge storyline going into this game is the availability of Joe Tooney, their all-pro guard, someone that he suffered, did not tear his pectoral muscle, but he strained it. And I saw, apparently it was reported today that it is unlikely that he will play. And that's huge for me with how much Baltimore rely on, again, stunts, really kind of making sure that the pocket is just so uncomfortable, and also again adding to that with sometimes the occasional blitz off kind of from the slot. We saw Arthur Mallett get to CJ Stroud a few times there, really dial up some pressure that way. They're getting Marlon Humphrey back, who's their cornerback one, who they didn't even have for that game. This is a scary defense. But what I will say about Kansas City, one thing that they've really kind of changed in the past 2 weeks is that their receivers have gotten much more dependable. I think we were talking about, I was saying all year how they didn't have a Juju Smith-Schuster, who like obviously isn't a great receiver, but was someone that Mahomes can rely on. And they've seen, and obviously we saw with Kelsey's regression during the regular season was also a huge reason why this receiving core really fell off a lot. But now we've seen in the playoffs, we've seen a lot fewer drops. We've seen he had a huge game against Buffalo, 2 touchdowns. We've seen Rashee Rice really become that alpha number one guy that Mahomes can, like, not like a great receiver, but a receiver that he can trust. We see MVS catch a huge pass against Teron Johnson, who's an all pro in his own right. That's massive for a quarterback like Mahomes, who we know if you can, as long as he has got guys he can trust, he can make the magic happen. So this is really a fascinating matchup. Obviously Kansas City's offense versus Baltimore's defense.
Yeah, so I was actually going to flip the script to you and talk about Baltimore's offense versus Kansas City's defense because Spagnuolo has been far and away the best coordinator throughout the playoffs, offensive or defensive. He's done a masterful job in both limiting the game that the Bills were able to do anywhere past the line of scrimmage and limiting everything that Miami had to do. So how is Todd Monken, Lamar Jackson, and company going to figure out this masterful defense? And the answer to that is they're just going to have to rely on their own. And I've called a bunch of games to be low scoring, and I don't think that'll necessarily be true just because I don't think I've been right on a lot of them.
Yeah, you
But
got
but the sentiment stands that this is going to be a defensive battle first. And I think Baltimore is going to come forward winning with it just because that there hasn't been a team other than and even in that game, the Deshaun Watson-led Browns was the only team that really looked to gash that defense. And even in that game, it wasn't that convincing.
A lot.
Baltimore,
Yeah, turnovers are also a huge part of that. I think you brought it up or you or
their
Charlie.
yeah, it was me. Their defense hasn't been beaten. And Mahomes is a new monster. The playoffs is a new monster, sure. But until I have a reason to poke a singular hole in that defense, I can't pick anyone to beat them. So I'm going to go with the Ravens. That's
Yeah, I
Yeah,
actually agree. I think
I don't know.
yeah, you're good.
I think I agree, and I think um I think it's a fair point to say. Obviously, defensively, I think they're fantastic. I may not be seeing what you're seeing. I think it's a very good defense, um, but I think it's certainly a beatable one. I think
fair.
yeah. I don't think their secondary is fantastic. I think it's good.
Nah,
But
Kyle
I wasn't
Hamilton's.
I wasn't super convinced by them. Again, I know and I know I'm arguing against, I'm arguing against kind of all odds. And again, I don't think the Texans played very well against them, but at least from what I was watching from Stroud, if you give him time, enough time, he was able to make the throws. And Mahomes is that much better. And Mahomes' receiving core, as Serge said, has stepped up. The only interceptions the Ravens got against them was the helmet ball, or it wasn't the helmet ball, it was a deflection. So I'm convinced by the Ravens defense. I think it's fantastic. I think it will be extremely good factor. And I don't think Mahomes will be able to score like he did against Buffalo and like he did against, well, I guess the Miami game was extremely low scoring because of the weather. But I'm not gonna, in terms of what Dylan says, I'm not gonna use the defense as if there's no holes, I'm gonna pick against them because the playoffs are a completely different thing. The Chiefs have been absolutely, been fantastic. They've been what we all expected them to be, the Chiefs in the playoffs. So it's not that I'm not concerned. Obviously, I'm very concerned by that defense if I'm the Chiefs, but I think it's a beatable defense is what I will say. Again, and I know I'm setting it up to say I'm gonna pick the Chiefs. I think I will go Ravens. Because I actually think, in more sense, I think this Baltimore offense is going to be the because it's the kind of thing where I think the Ravens defense will step up in a big play and just stop Mahomes from scoring that touchdown that he might score against Miami, that he might score against Buffalo, and then that Ravens offense is able to go score. And I think that might be the difference in the game. But I don't think it will be a Mahomes against the Buccaneers type quarterback defensive performance from Baltimore. That being said, it could be, but I don't think it will be that kind of game for Kansas City.
So
Yeah,
another
I think
question I have. Go ahead, Serge.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say I think the problem with this Baltimore defense is that no matter which receiving core they're playing, they always play where they're not gonna let you get the deep ball, which obviously the Chiefs were able to have a few times to MVS. He had a couple of big throws there. Um, what the main thing is that they're gonna make sure you have to dink and dunk. And the problem is that's like pick your poison because if you try and dink and dunk and rely after yards after catch, they've just got Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, Kyle Hamilton, who's just gonna annihilate that. And I think Kelsey, who was a huge part of the Bills game, is also gonna be tough because Kyle Hamilton also is probably gonna guard him a lot of the time in the slot, and he's like one of the best. He's also, apart from being a great tackler, he's one of the best cover safeties in the league as well. And they've also got Geno Stone back there, Marcus Williams. As I think the Chiefs' offensive receive West skill weapons have really kind of stepped up the past few weeks, but this is a different challenge. And I agree that I think it's going to be a very low scoring game because the Chiefs defense in its own right haven't
Been
allowed a team to score
fantastic.
30 points. Yeah, they haven't
I think
allowed
I would
30
I would
points
take
this
the Chiefs
season.
secondary over the Ravens secondary. I think Legarius
Oh, I
Sneed
agree. No, I
has,
No,
actually agree.
not
Well, I
secondary.
take
No.
the
yeah,
corners. Corners I would definitely take
Yeah, that's
because
fair.
I would
Sneed
take the
is
secondary.
should have been an all pro. McDuffie is an all pro. That's just I
McDuffie
think
is
it's gonna be
amazing.
they're
McDuffie is a
both they're
amazing cornerback.
I think Sneed is better, but
Yes,
McDuffie
Sneed's
and
better,
that
but
says a
McD.
I,
You talk about good
they're both
tackling
amazing.
secondary players. McDuffie is one of the best
Mhm.
tacklers in the National Football League,
But I
and
think if
one
I
of the
have
best
to go,
tacklers like in the league,
Mhm.
including all positions. He's absolutely
Mhm.
phenomenal.
But what I think I'm gonna go with the Ravens, and here's the two. I'm gonna give two reasons why. One, the Chiefs defense could not stop Josh Allen or James Cook running the ball, and the Ravens rushing attack has Lamar Jackson. They have a bunch of solid backs, and they've got a good offensive line. I don't think they're gonna be able to stop them too, either. Two is that while the Chiefs have great corners, and this is to your point, Dylan, that the Ravens secondary is better, where they don't have where they don't have great play necessarily is safety. And what's a huge addition that's going to be coming to the Ravens? Mark Andrews. He is coming back. I think you're going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets with him and Likely. I know maybe they might be easing him back, but I think in the conference championship, there's not really much to ease him back to. I think he's going to play a part in this game. I think obviously the Ravens defense is going to do its thing and kind of limit Mahomes as much as humanly possible.
I think
Give
you have
me
Nick
Baltimore
Bolton
to.
though on the other side for Andrews.
I
Nick
like.
Bolton's been a good coverage linebacker.
Yeah,
That's
but
I would
he's
say
a
he
good-
is better in the box and tackling, but I think his
Yeah,
coverage.
I'd say he's more of
is-
a boxer. I see your point though. I see your point, but I still think he's going to play a huge role in that game. Both tight ends, in my opinion. So give me Baltimore to go to the Super Bowl. I'm not confident because again, picking against Mahomes and picking against Kansas City, which I've done 2 weeks in a row, never really works out.
Yeah.
But
It
I
generally
think
never does.
logistically, this has to be Baltimore's year. So give me the
Yeah.
Ravens.
Yeah, no, I think if this isn't Baltimore's
Neglected child
year,
award.
then
Everyone, let's
it's.
clap it up. There you go. Charlie gets it this week. I had it
I've
last.
I've already spoken. This is not like my first time speaking.
You've kind of been silent. I'm not gonna lie.
Surge, since we have dubbed him that award, immediately is always the first to talk.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but Surge is
Yeah, he
always
tries
the
to
first one
talk
to
so like before everyone.
Well, I feel like I give adequate analysis.
Yeah, you do.
So I feel like-
Well, that's besides the point. But yeah,
It's your job.
That's your job.
Yeah. All right. Charlie, go
no,
ahead.
but I think that the thing that I agree mostly with what you guys said, Dylan. Where I'm going to disagree with you just a little bit. I actually don't see this being, despite this being 2 really good defenses, I don't see it really being a super defensive battle.
Yeah.
I was, not sure what to expect defense or offense from KC Buffalo, and it seemed like the game started out and it was just score, 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 score. That slowed down eventually. So I think in a sense this is a defensive battle because it's like who's the first team to get a stop? That's the important part.
Yeah.
But I think that no matter how good Baltimore's defense has been this year, I know you hate it when I say this, but this is Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. And it's like watching Tom Brady in the playoffs in a lot of ways because they just always seem to find ways to win. And look, the Ravens have a great offense. The Chiefs have a very, very great offense. And I think this is just going to be touchdown, 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 touchdown to start the game. And it's going to come down to who gets the ball first out of the second half or who gets that crucial stop in the fourth quarter. Because I just don't see there being a lot of straight up stops in this game. The Chiefs ran methodical drives against the Bills. Great ground game, great air game.
Good defense.
Bills have a good defense that, a very injury riddled secondary, which is going to hurt. But I don't see a way that as good as the Ravens defense has been, they're going to hold the Chiefs to under 20 points. So I don't see a way in which the Ravens can get out of this game without scoring 30 points. And this is a Ravens offense that's totally capable of doing that. And I think if I had to pick, I'm probably also going to pick the Ravens in this one, but it's going to be a really interesting and complex offensive battle because that's going to be the key, the key is going to be who gets the first stop, but the offenses I think are going to be the dominating force in this game. So the key is going to be who can map out that first defensive scheme that works. And I think, Mahomes is going to pick apart any defense that he plays against. Lamar is going to pick apart any defense he plays against. So really that first stop is going to be crucial. And I will give that first stop to Baltimore. So I'm gonna say Baltimore's gonna win this one, but this is a really, really good game.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think
just with the base analysis of that, I so firmly disagree with. But we'll move forward.
Well, that was my whole point. I disagreed. Yeah.
Our disagreement.
Well, Dylan, you can say why you disagreed.
No, I mean I pretty much just. I pretty much have said it over the course. I just think Baltimore's defense has proven to be so unbeatable, and just Mahomes wins games, and it's a proven fact that he is the best quarterback in the playoffs. He just doesn't mess up. But we also have to look into the factors of where has he been able to succeed and where is Baltimore going to be able to plug that? And that's where I think it's going to become defensive because Mahomes' strengths as the playoffs have come are going to be plugged so immediately by the linebackers, the safeties, everything. It's just not the right matchup, and matchups are so important. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say Mahomes can figure it out, and maybe he can. It's going to be a good game, but I just feel like it's shallow to just say, you know what? I don't care about the matchup. Mahomes will score 20 points because maybe he will, but I feel like it's just like
I agree.
No. I mean, that's not really what I'm saying because the matchup for Baltimore in every single game they play is favorable, right? Because
That's
they
what I'm
have the
saying.
best roster in the NFL, but they still lost games this year. So this is not like some unbeatable Baltimore team and some, I know you're not calling him an incompetent quarterback on the other end, but it's not a CJ Stroud level quarterback. It's not even a Josh Allen level
Is CJ
quarterback.
Stroud incompetent?
No.
No, he did. He said like the opposite.
I might have misheard. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I'm saying I know you're not saying he's incompetent, and I know you're not, comparing him to Stroud, but this isn't even close to CJ Stroud. This isn't even close to Josh Allen. This is the best quarterback in the NFL by a long shot. And, Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen is the best linebacking core in the NFL. No arguments there. But there's only so much they can do because you put your
Disagree with that.
attention on Kelsey and then Mahomes scrambles because Mahomes scrambles all the time in the playoffs. And you've got Isaiah
Breaking
Pacheco that they
news:
still have to
defense
worry
has to
about.
focus on multiple things. Like I don't know what you want.
Yeah,
They've been able
Charlie,
to do
I'm
it
trying to
all. They've
side with
been
you here,
able to
Charlie.
do it all
Yeah.
season.
Because Charlie, the thing
No,
is,
but they haven't done it against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
I know, but Charlie,
I do see
I
the
just
point. I do see his point. I think we even saw CJ Stroud, who's like also very good at kind of manipulating the pocket and getting outside the pocket. He was able to do that a few times and get it to Nico. I think Mahomes is obviously the best in the world at doing that. And I think he'll be able to do it a few times and make plays happen on his own. The problem is I think that's going to be similar to Stroud. That's going to be the only way that the Chiefs can get points because like we me and Dylan said like a week earlier, the only way they're gonna be able to score points is CJ Stroud magic. The only way the Chiefs would be able to score points is Mahomes magic. And I know Mahomes obviously can make magic happen a lot, but that's not if that's the only way they can win against this level of a defense, I think it's gonna be too much for them to overcome.
No,
That's
I mean
perfectly stating what I
that's
was saying.
exactly why I'm picking the Ravens in this game because I think, that Mahomes magic, it can only get you so far. And it has gotten the Chiefs to multiple Super Bowl victories. And it's gotten Mahomes to the AFC Championship, 6 times in a row. So there's really actually no extent to where Mahomes magic can take you because it's always Mahomes magic, it feels like at the end of the day. But I agree that this matchup just favors Baltimore just a little bit too much that I don't
Mhm.
think that the Ravens defense
yeah.
will, I think this
I,
Ravens team will win this game, but I don't think they're
Yeah,
just
I
going to have
agree.
their way with Mahomes
Charlie,
in this one, holding Mahomes to a touchdown
Charlie,
or
and
two
and and
touchdowns.
and I very much agree with you. I think we have the same sentiment when it comes to this game. That defensively, I don't think it will be as much of an impact. But I think, and I see both sides. I see what Dylan says, where it's kind of like just saying Mahomes' magic is a little invalid. But again, it is valid in some ways. I
I'm
think
not
the
saying it's
one thing
invalid,
that
but
proves, Charlie, that proves that Mahomes' magic can be limited is the Tampa Bay game. Fantastic safeties, the best linebacking core in the league at that point, an incredible front seven, very good defensive coaching, and they absolutely suffocated Mahomes the entire game. So I think again, and I agree with you because again, Mahomes has been absolutely fantastic and he is able to pull things out that no other quarterback is able to. But I think if you look back in history, when Mahomes faced a defense that I think matches up the most with the one he's going to play on Sunday, it was the Tampa Bay one, and they absolutely killed him the entire game.
No, it's totally fair.
Yeah, but I think
Mhm.
offensive line wise, it is much better of an offensive line. I mean
Yeah,
that
it's a
that
better
game
offensive line is
they
what I
were
was going to
missing.
say,
I
but
think they were missing both of their tackles. That I'm not sure, but they were missing offensive lines against the Tampa Bay.
and they
So
have
that it
they
was
have a much better run game this time around. So
yeah,
it's a different Chiefs
it is.
team. It's
It
a
is.
different defense they're playing against. And Tom Brady was on the other side of the ball, which helps. So it's
Lamar
like,
though,
Yeah,
Lamar though,
fair.
like
okay, but Tom Brady's like the biggest winner in like sports history.
yeah, no, I know, but I
Mhm.
feel like Lamar being on the other side of the ball, the MVP of the league this season by a pretty solid margin, isn't something to just like brush to the
No, I'm
side.
not saying Lamar's bad. I think Lamar's going to have an excellent game, but he's just not Tom Brady. I
But
mean, I know you have a
Dylan,
history of comparing,
Yeah,
yeah,
good quarterbacks to Tom
yeah.
Brady. So
And Dylan, also to be
Mhm.
fair, Lamar doesn't have the resume in the playoff. Like he doesn't
yeah,
really
no,
have
no,
a
no.
very good
I was
resume.
just, I was just saying, like you were mentioning the quarterback, and we haven't really talked a lot about Lamar at all for this game.
he's the
Who,
MVP. I mean, that's
yeah, I
just
mean,
it. Like, I
like,
mean, we know what Lamar's going to do because the Chiefs
I
defense
think
is not going to stay. I think the biggest question for me in this game was, will Willie Gay be available for this game? Because I know he went
mm,
out injured against Josh Allen. He was the main QB spy. Not saying that there's a QB spy in the NFL that could stop Lamar
I mean, the
Jackson.
reason the Texans
But
lost
if
was
the Chiefs are
because
going to have a good chance, if they're going to have any chance of stopping Lamar, Willie Gay is their QB spy.
I've been reading that he should be playing, but I mean, it's all up to debate. Who knows?
yeah.
Yeah.
mhm.
But we'll move on to the next game. I would argue I'm more excited because the Lions, the storyline there for them to make a Super Bowl would be absolutely absurd. I'm not gonna lie. I thought I would never see a Lions playoff team in my life when we first got into the NFL. But they play San Francisco. Again, you look at matchup wise, two good defenses, two good offenses. Um, San Francisco, obviously, we talked about it in our stream. Don't go watch it. The stream we did after the game. But it was a
Go watch it.
um it was a again, like I said, and I'm not someone who, and as I said on the stream, I'm not someone who likes to say the team doesn't deserve it when they win the game, because if you win a game, you win a game. But the Packers through and through should have won that game. Like they absolutely should have won that game, and I said it in the stream. But it was they shot themselves in the foot not once, not twice, but like 4 times. So again, San Francisco obviously still played a very good game. But this game, you talk about matchup wise, extremely, extremely close. I think Goff and Purdy are pretty comparable quarterbacks. I think if you put either on the other team, I think they would have pretty similar success. But very good game. It's going to be another heavy trenches battle for Detroit. But when you guys look at this game, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
here
know.
he
I think
goes.
you just. I want.
I'm
Here,
joking.
I can go first.
Sure, do you want, Serge,
Come
do you
on.
want to try another intro? I feel like every time someone asks a
Yeah.
question, it's yeah,
Yeah,
and then
it's-
go through. I've
I
been
mean,
picking that
that's just the way to go.
All right.
But yeah, I think but I know we've been talking about a lot how a lot of the games we're talking about, oh, this is going to be a defensive battle. This is not going to be a defensive battle. This is going to be a shootout because
yeah.
one thing that I noticed with the Niners Packers game is until their right tackle Zach Tom, who's been sneakily one of the best tackles in football this year, went out. The Packers O-line was dominating that Niners defensive line, and they were able to get points. They were able to move the ball. Should have had more points because obviously they stalled out and had to kick a field goal a few times. Obviously, Love on that controversial called short on fourth and one, which I think he got it, but either way, they were able to move the ball well because that line was playing well. And now you have Detroit's line, which is much better. I mean, it's definitely better. It's probably I would say the best in the league right now.
Detroit is.
Yeah,
I
I
think
would
the
say
best in
they
the
are.
league.
I would say they
Yeah.
are with obviously Decker, Ragnow. I don't know if Jackson's gonna play, but you also have Glasgow, and then of course Penei Sewell, the best tackle in football, I will say.
I agree.
I think that's gonna be I think even with the Niners defensive line, I think the Lions offensive line has showed against every group they faced, they've been able to handle the opposing defensive line. I think they're gonna do that. And I think one of the other problems is that Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the best receivers in the league, is probably going to be matched up against Ambry Thomas, who did not have the best of games against Green Bay. Obviously, had a few huge pass interferences.
Neither did Charvarius Ward. And which one of who did we have the argument over Charvarius Ward? Was that 2 episodes ago? Remember we were like, yeah, well, Charvarius Ward's
I
an
was saying he was good.
all-pro,
I was
and
saying no.
me and
I was saying
Charlie
he
were
was an
like-
all pro.
Yeah,
I mean,
me
he
and
literally
Charlie-
was an all pro.
No, I
but
know. But me and Charlie were just like, yeah, but it's Charvarius Ward. And again, not to say he's not good, but when he's the best.
But
yeah, no, excuse me.
yeah, no problem. But I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's gonna have a big game. But the problem is that on the other side, I think that Lions secondary, I think they've got good safeties. I like Melifonwu. I obviously like CJ Gardner-Johnson and Brian Branch, of course. I think their safeties are good, but outside that, I think outside of Hutch, they don't really have anyone that can get to the quarterback. They don't have any good corners. We saw Cam Sutton, another cornerback that was really just burnt toast that entire game. And
Yeah,
I think
the
Ayuk will have a
game.
good game. I think if Debo plays, another huge storyline, I think he will play. I think he's going to have a big game as well. So I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be obviously a great game to watch. And I'm going to be honest, I haven't picked yet because this game is just really 50-50 for me. I'm going to say San Francisco just because of the home field. And that feels like lazy analysis, but it's just fine margins between these two teams. But San Francisco has been the best team in the NFC all year long. And I'm gonna go San Francisco.
This is going to be my first substantial disagreement with you in a few videos here. I have San Francisco winning this game by quite a long shot. I don't think that Detroit's even going to be really in this game past the first quarter. I mean, we saw both
What?
Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay completely torched Detroit's defense in some important moments. And we saw Puka Nacua.
I mean, in the first
completely
half, the
run-
the Lions defense was actually doing fine. Sorry,
First half is the first
Go
half.
ahead.
There's a full game. They were
Fair
torched.
play.
But they were
torched.
capable of stopping them.
Yeah, they were. But are we going to compare the two offenses now? Because I see San Francisco being able to completely run them completely ragged. And we saw Puka Nacua get an average of 9 yards after the catch. That's a made-up stat,
Yeah,
but like, you know what I mean.
But Dylan, we
And
just saw a Niners team basically get beaten by the
I'll
Packers
get
for
there.
95% of the game.
I'll get there. But I'm just saying the defense versus offense matchup, Deebo Samuel is the best player in the league after the catch, possibly. And we're going to see him come into this game maybe a little banged up, but he's going to come into this game as the probably second most or third most watched out for player on this offense, and he's going to feast. This team couldn't tackle for anything against the Rams, and now you bring in Deebo, who's just that dangerous. You have to deal with Christian McCaffrey. I mean, that's just something that you have to take into account. Also, Detroit hasn't had the greatest run defense over the course of the season, and I've been such a faithful member of the Church of Football, but there's only so much that you can believe in. This is a super team with
This
super
is where you
coaching.
leave the church. Wow.
It's a super team with super coaches and super players. This is something beyond the faith of what a team of hardworking players and talented. Sure, there is talent, there is good schemes, but I just think it's a little.
I
beyond.
think
Wow.
this is like
Dylan.
I think this
You're
is like
yeah.
this is
This
no,
is
that's
like the
disrespectful
wow.
to just say they're hardworking players.
No,
They've got one of the best.
Yeah.
No, they've got one of the best receivers in the league, one of the best tight ends in the
He'd
league.
be the second
During
best
the second half,
Yep.
during the second half of the season, one of the best running backs in the league, Jameer Gibbs, one of the best offensive lines in the league, one of the
best
best play
offensive line.
callers in the league, the best offensive line in the league.
Everything you've brought up, other than the line, which I'll give you that point, San Francisco just have better. And then you look at the defensive side of the ball.
No, they don't. Amon-Ra St. Brown is better than any Niners receiver.
Deebo
Yes.
Samuel's a better
No,
receiver.
I'm taking Amon-Ra.
Yeah, Amon-Ra
plug
St.
Deebo
That's
Samuel.
tough. That's like a good match.
probably
I'd say
take
Amon-Ra.
over
I take Amon-Ra
Deebo.
as a receiver, at least a better.
But I would
receiver.
way
But the
rather
Niners have
compare.
Deebo and Ayuk.
Yeah, you compare groups of receivers as to just one receiver. It's San Francisco night and day.
Yeah, but
I don't
But
think
here's what I will say also, and the reason, and you do bring up a good point, but here's what I will say. I think a lot of people would have said, and I said this. I admit I picked the Rams first round to beat the Lions, and I thought their weapons were going to be able to overcome that poor defense. And while they played well, here was the difference and what kind of you have to recognize. Trenches matter now more than ever because there are so few teams with great offensive lines. And the Niners, while they are a super team, there is one weakness, that line. Outside of Trent Williams, they've had a lot of question marks there all year. And like I said, the Lions pass rush isn't really that good. So I don't think they're going to be able to exploit as much as a team with a good pass rush would be able to. But we've also seen that they have been able to get home against other not so great offensive lines like the Rams, like the Bucks, because Aiden Hutchinson has been one of the best pass rushers in football this year. He has 8 sacks in his last 4 games. So I think they're still going to be able to get there a couple of times. And I think the Lions offensive line is going to keep Goff clean again. And I think that's why I think they're still going to be able to put up a decent amount of points. The reason why I still go with the Niners though is because I think one of the reasons why the Lions feasted was because they were able to target the middle of the field so much in that Bucks game. But now you're going against, I know we talked about Roquan and Patrick Queen. Now you've got probably the only one that probably is in that same stratosphere with Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw guarding the middle of the field. And I think that's going to be tough for them. And it will make it, I think it'll be too difficult. I think not that it'll be too difficult for Detroit to overcome, but it'll force them to go a different way. And Detroit are capable of winning on offense a lot of different ways, but I just think that's going to slow them down more than what we saw with the Rams, what we saw with the Bucks. So that's why I think San Francisco is going to win, but I think their offense is going to be just fine against that defense.
I'll let you
Do you
go.
think
Yeah,
Dre Greenlaw has ascended Fred Warner?
I think so.
No, Fred Warner.
Fred
Warner. If I could take
this
one
season-
linebacker in the NFL, it's Fred Warner.
I take Roquan, but I take Roquan this season. But like Fred
this
Warner,
season it goes
so good.
Roquan,
Greenlaw, I
very close
think.
second, Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah.
Look,
I
I think Greenlaw's a great player in his own right. Did you guys see? I don't know if I brought this up on the podcast a couple times ago, but whenever the Niners force a turnover, Dre Greenlaw just refuses to block.
Yes,
Fred
yeah,
Warner was
I saw
talking about
that.
this on his podcast, and he said that Dre Greenlaw refuses to block and he just asks for the football. He stands there just like waiting for a pitch, and it's happened a couple times where they've just been wrapped up and they've
I have
given the
seen
ball to
them
Dre
pitch it.
Greenlaw.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
Dre
actually remember
Greenlaw
last
did
season.
not go down after intercepting Jordan
Oh
Love,
yeah.
even though the game was over.
I know. Yeah, I saw
I
that.
was
This
half
is
expecting
Dre
someone to strip it
Greenlaw,
from them because he seems like
is
kind
a
of careless
very
with that.
funny player.
Mhm.
Yeah,
No,
he
but
is. Yeah.
I think that for me, I'm gonna sit sort of in between the two of you, Serge and Dylan. I don't think this is gonna be a thriller that comes down to a game-winning field goal. I also don't think this is gonna be a 20-point blowout.
Yeah.
I think that we're looking at somewhere in the middle, and I think the reason for that, I'm gonna highlight for me two key players. It's Debo Samuel, because the Niners have lost 5 games this year. Debo did not take part in 4 of them, and the other one was against the Ravens. So Debo is probably the most important part of this Niners team, which is a really weird thing to say considering they have Christian McCaffrey and Purdy and Kittle. But for me, Debo Samuel's huge. If he's not playing fully, then I could see the Lions, getting their way back into this. And then on the other side of the ball, for me, the key is Jahmyr Gibbs. The way that the Lions are going to be able to keep themselves in this game is going to be with a strong run game. They're not going to be able to pass all over this team. And to stay in this game, they're going to need to dominate the time of possession so that the weapons of the Niners aren't, you know, just able to do whatever they want as many times as they want. We know the Lions defense isn't going to be able to stop them often. So I think for me, Gibbs and Montgomery are a huge part of this, and Goff's ability to manage the game. The problem with that, Jared Goff is a very different quarterback in Detroit versus not in
Mhm.
Detroit. When he's at home this year, he's been maybe the best quarterback in the game.
Yeah.
But away from home, that's where the Lions start to drop points. That's where they start to lose games. And Jared Goff is a big reason why he does not play the same when it's not in Detroit. And that's a really big thing. Look, Amon-Ra is going to be wide open on most plays as he normally is, a Cooper Cup style receiver. And I think that Amon-Ra is, I would definitely take Amon-Ra over Debo or Ayuk. But
Yeah.
again, Dylan, you said it, you're picking receiving cores. And as far as it goes, I don't dislike the Lions. I actually really like Josh Reynolds, and Jameson Williams has really come into his own the last couple games and really over the course of the season. But
Like 4 catches. I don't know. I don't know about
no, but
coming.
he's playing a substantial enough role when you've got someone like Amon-Ra who gets 12 a game. So and he's really, he was drafted for his deep threat ability, and that's kind of what he
And
provides
the
on the
random
field.
Josh Reynolds touchdown catch every like
Look,
4
you can
games.
Dude,
bank
I
on a
love
Josh
him. I love
Reynolds big
I love
catch
him.
every game. And then Sam Laporta, who we look on the other side of the ball, which I would think that George Kittle and Sam Laporta have been the two best tight ends in football this season.
Hmm.
Um,
Mhm.
And
I don't
Njoku.
think that's
Those three,
and
yeah.
Joku's been good, but for me, Kittle's been the clear best tight end, and Sam Laporta for a rookie, I mean, has an unbelievable year. I mean, if it weren't for CJ Stroud, I think he could be fighting for offensive rookie of the year
Group of
conversation,
the
which is kind of crazy. But I think this game is just really going to come down to, I think of in a very similar story to the Chiefs and Ravens, who can get more stops. And it's going to be hard to get stops. I agree with Serge, and this is going to be a shootout. But at the end of the day, the Niners just have a more complete roster. The Niners have a more explosive offense with McCaffrey and Debo and Ayuk and Kittle. It's just going to be too difficult for this Lions secondary to stop. And I'm going to take the Niners comfortably, but not in blowout fashion. Maybe like a 10-point game.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
I think I will go Niners as well, and I think it's boring because we all have the same team for each game. For me, I think, and again, when it comes to these extremely close games, like in the regular season, when the bad team plays a good team, it's obvious and you can point out why. I think in these games, it just comes down to visualizing the game, and to me, when I visualize it, I just don't see how this Lions team will be able to stop the 49ers offense enough, and I don't think offensively I just don't think they will. I don't see how the Lions will have a step up at all the entire game. I think the Niners will the whole game.
Yeah.
Again, I agree with Charlie. I don't think that it will be I don't think it'll be a blowout by any means. I don't think when you get to AFC NFC Championship, these games are rarely blowouts. So I don't think it'll be that, and I think it'll be close. And again, I give a lot of hope to the Lions. I think they can win the game, but to me, just analysis aside, when I look at this game, I just don't see how the Lions win it. I think the Niners are just overall a better team. I think they've been here more, And I think once it gets down to those crunch time calls, fourth quarter, I think the Niners have more experience there. And I think that's, in my opinion, what will carry it to them. However, fan side, not as an analyst, I want the Lions to win. I think that would be a fantastic story. But I just think the Niners have that edge. And again, I mean, I think a Ravens Niners Super Bowl is sounds amazing, but I think a Ravens Lions Super Bowl does as well. But in my opinion, I just see the Niners being able to get to the finish line where I think the Lions may burn out in that. And that's just what I think.
Yeah,
I'm surprised like
absolutely.
we both have like are both unanimous on both of these games
I know.
because I feel like both these games could go either way. I could easily see it being a Chiefs Lions Super Bowl, but
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I just logistically it just makes sense that that we would get a Ravens Niners one.
I think we can all agree we're hoping for a Ravens Lions Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although the Ravens dominated both these teams in the regular season, so
Yeah, so
maybe they're forgetting.
yeah, but there we go. Shortest podcast we have probably ever had. Picks
Two
there.
games helps.
I guess
Two
play.
games.
bold
Yeah.
picks for the week.
Yeah. Oh yeah, bold picks. Sorry. As always, we have to go
Oh,
to our
yeah.
bold picks.
Okay.
No
I
one
mean,
had
I got
anything.
mine ready if anyone's
Charlie had
yeah, you
probably
you go
one of the
first,
worst
Hey, look,
showings last week.
it was just
No, that was
I'm
so
gonna
bad.
blame my loss on 3 missed field goals.
I'm gonna blame your loss on you
Look,
overcompensating.
we all just talked about how the Packers should have won the game.
I
Yeah, they
didn't
should've.
say that.
The
Dylan,
Bills
you know
missed
they
a
should've.
the Bills missed a field goal to send the game to overtime. which I'm not
Mahomes
saying
would
they
have
would have
driven
won.
down the field
I'm-
and won that.
No, but new playoff overtime rules.
And
So
Ravens-
all-
they had
so-
they had over a minute. They would have
Yeah.
driven
So
down the
look,
field.
all
Their
I'm
heart
saying,
out.
is the Bills missed a field goal to send it to overtime. And which was the other game that there was the big missed field goal? I mean, all four
Lions,
games there
Bucks,
was
that
a missed
wasn't-
field
that
goal.
wasn't-
Packers.
McLaughlin missed a field goal, but it wasn't like they would.
All four,
Whatever
yeah.
it was, I remember it being 3, but it could have been 2. Whatever. My bold pick for this week is that Brandon Ayuk gets 170 receiving yards.
Jesus
All
Christ.
right. You know what?
Alright.
I like the player centric ones. The team centric ones didn't go so well.
Yeah.
I'll go with. I'll switch games. I'll go with Lamar Jackson has 500 total yards.
Damn.
That is
Mhm.
absolutely
Ballistic. That's
That's-
crazy. Has Lamar thrown for 400 in his career?
I think.
Like,
so.
I'm just curious.
Yeah,
Because
Dylan, that
I
is
doubt it.
that is
I'll-
I mean,
I'll tell
no,
you-
it's a crazy pick, so we're gonna let him have that. But
Dylan, that is
I don't-
actually impossible.
I don't think that's gonna happen, obviously, but
Right.
500 yards. My take,
Uh,
I think that I like the Ayuk one because I think that'll be the guy they kind of underlook. I think the Ayuk one, that's a good one. I'll go other side of the ball. I'll go Amon-Ra over 150 and 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
mm.
and 2 touchdowns. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for like 2 team centric, like both
No.
teams with the Ravens Chiefs game. I said it's gonna be low scoring. I think neither team's gonna get 20 points in that game.
Ravens
Neither
Chiefs.
team gets 20.
Neither team
I like
gets
it.
20.
Wow.
I think that's
Mm.
actually the least hot take.
No, I know.
think-
I was just trying to come with one on the spot. I feel
I don't
like
think that's that like bad. Like, that's not.
Yeah.
Neither
It
team
could
gets
go
20
either.
But I
points.
feel like
mean,
with Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, you always
Yeah,
expect
yeah.
fireworks. So
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right. Always good segment. Ended off with the hot takes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching and thank you for listening. If you are on YouTube, subscribe. If you are on any listening platform, give us 5 stars. As always, next time we'll see you is Super Bowl weekend. Obviously, extremely excited for
No Pro Bowl
that.
picks.
Maybe we'll do Pro Bowl picks.
we
I
should
probably
do
won't.
NFL honors. Do
NFL honors.
who's gonna
Oh,
win
we
the
shouldn't do
dodgeball
that.
game?
Yeah, we'll probably get.
Saquon Barkley.
We'll probably get. I mean, we might. I'd say we will probably get a podcast out, and I think we'll do draft stuff on a podcast also. I think we can start to roll.
Yeah.
That out.
Yeah.
But once again, thank you all so much for watching. Key McDermott, Charlie Nidell, Dylan Shalom, Suraj Kadali, the Back Pocket Podcast, episode 25. We will see you for Super Bowl weekend. We hope you all have a very good championship weekend, and yeah, see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.